One of the passengers on the flight was a Bulgarian man named Marco. He didn't know any English and was fairly new to America. Hence, while filling out the customs form on the flight, he made contact with Sanvi and Cal, asking them if they could help him translate. Now in the present, Cal sees a nightmare and starts screaming in Bulgarian. He is also burning with fever, so the parents rush him to the hospital immediately. The shocking part is that Cal has never been taught to speak Bulgarian, or made contact with any Bulgarian man other than Marco. Meanwhile, the finest minds in the scientific community are trying to make sense of the lost airplane. Some suggest the plane went through a wormhole, while others think the laws of physics as we know them do not apply to this phenomenon. Vance listens to them and figures out they won't come to a conclusion anytime soon. His only shot at uncovering what caused the disappearance are the passengers themselves. Even after being at the hospital for hours, Cal's fever doesn't go down. It is concerning for the doctor since they haven't been able to find out the cause of the fever yet. Grace asks the doctor if Sanvi's experimental cancer treatment is making Cal sick, but the doctor puts it off the table because it has been nothing but successful for the past 2 weeks. Suddenly, Cal starts screaming something in Bulgarian. Sanvi remembers Marco saying the same phrase on the plane, which means Cal's sickness is related to the disappearance. Ben is determined to solve whatever problem it is for the sake of his child. He goes through the lists of passengers and finds out information about Marco. The man has no immediate family members in New York and no addresses where they can look for him. Some people from the flight have gone MIA after Kelly's death for their safety, so the group thinks that Marco is also one of them. To find out more about the guy, they meet a translator who was also on the flight. She reveals that people like Marco who didn't have immediate family in America were sent to a government shelter until they figured out where to go. She distinctly remembers that he was on bus number 5, but every data on record says that there were only 4 buses that carried the passengers. Upon investigation, Ben discovers that there was a 5th bus filled with foreigners, who no one was going to file a missing complaint about. The government must have sent the bus to a secret location so they can experiment on the passengers and find out the cause of the disappearance. With time, Cal's condition worsens. He starts shouting help and hurry in a foreign language. Ben quickly does some research and finds a certain area of farmlands where the bus must be hidden, according to the traffic cameras. Michaela asks Jared to accompany her to the location and tells him about the missing bus. Initially, he doesn't want to help her because she refuses to tell him about the callings, but upon finding out that the mission might be dangerous, he gets ready to drive. Then, we are finally shown the place where the passengers from Bus 5 are being held. Marco is in the middle, being electrocuted to test his endurance, while the same happens to the others behind him. Every shock he receives resonates with Cal and hurts him as well. After a half-an-hour drive, Michaela and Jared reach the farmland and find the site where they are performing the experiments. However, it is guarded by armed military men who are ready to shoot anyone who tries to interfere with their jobs. Michaela pretends to be a lost civilian and gets out of the situation. But before driving away, she gets a picture of a woman being led into a red door. When they are far enough, Jared stops the car and asks her for answers. Michaela finally tells him about the callings, which are difficult for him to believe. Still, he thanks her for keeping him in the loop and urges her to come to him if there is any problem. In the meantime, the doctor suggests they give Cal an antibiotic because she suspects he has an infection that hasn't shown up on tests. But giving him an antibiotic would mean the failure of the cancer treatment he is going through. Grace wants to solve the problem at hand, but Ben is confident if they wait for a while, they will find a better way. He suddenly remembers that he can ask Vance for help, since he also works for the government and must know about the experiments. He goes to Vance's office and accuses him of unlawful conduct, but the guy is clueless about the experiments. Ben even shows him the picture Michaela took, but Vance refuses to believe him. In the end, he is left helpless as a father, but after he leaves, Vance asks his people to dig deep into what Ben was saying, because there actually might be an unlawful experiment going on. At the police station, Michaela does some digging on the farmland's owner and finds out it was bought just 2 weeks ago by a multi-billion company called UDS. Moreover, The buses that relocated the passengers were also a gift from UDS to the government. It is clear that the company is funding and organizing the experiments on its own. On the farm, the doctors stop the experiment for the day to move the patients to a safer location. As soon as Marco relaxes, Cal's fever goes down and he is saved. Grace is so glad that she goes into the bathroom and breaks down into sobs. She only rushes outside when told that Cal gained consciousness. The doctors believe that he got lucky, unaware of the root of the problem. Somewhere else, Vance is given the same information that Ben found out hours ago. He starts suspecting that someone powerful is orchestrating the experiments on the low, behind the name of the government. Vance and his assistant go to the farmland where Michaela took the picture, only to find it empty. But as they are about to leave, they find a fresh band-aid on the floor. It is clear that someone sick was moved from the farm not long ago. Hours later, Cal speaks for the first time and says that he is scared because he can still feel Marco. Ben knows that for the kid to be completely okay, they have to save Marco and the others. The only way to find out where UDS is keeping them is by joining UDS himself. They are looking to hire someone in the accounting department, and even though Ben is overqualified for the job, he might just be able to get it. On the day of the interview, he makes the interviewer believe that his qualification will be a plus point and is instantly hired. He refrains from telling Grace the real reason he is joining the team, since they have already gotten into an argument about him investigating the callings. As they discuss the new job, Olive asks permission to go rock climbing. Ben allows her but finds out that she is going with Danny. In his absence, Danny and Olive religiously went rock climbing because it gave her a goal and distracted her from the deaths of her loved ones. Ben doesn't mind her hanging out with Danny as long as it helps her. On his first day at work, he finds out his boss is a Flight 828 fan. It is good news for Ben because he can ask the man for favors while he snoops around the UDS database. Soon, he finds out that he needs a red-level keycard to access the information he wants. During lunch breaks, he fries his card in the microwave and makes it seem like it isn't working anymore. His boss offers him a card with greater access upon seeing that he is having trouble with the old one. After using the card to get into the system, Ben finds a project named SP, but even the higher card does not allow him access to view the project's information. Following that, he comes across a woman named Fiona Clark. She is a researcher who was one of the passengers on Flight 828. Ben also discovers that she is working for whoever took the missing passengers. Ben and Sanvi go to one of Fiona's conferences to meet her. Her recent research is about how human brains are connected to each other, in the sense that one can channel pain from someone else's body. It is the same thing that happened between Marco and Cal. Upon seeing Sanvi and Ben, Fiona comments that she had been waiting for them. After the conference, they talk to the researcher and find out that she has no clue about the detained passengers. She was approached by a non-profit organization named SP on the 4th day after the flight's return. They were interested in funding her research and have been helping her with conferences ever since. However, she was never told about her research being used experimentally on detained passengers. Somewhere else, Jared and Michaela are called to a crime scene where a man is shot dead. His niece Carlos begs Michaela to save the man, but she is unable to. However, when she is near the dead body, she hears a heartbeat in her head. They go to the police station where Carlos reveals that his uncle was his only family, the one who helped him when he was severely ill as a child. The police bring in the suspects and make him identify the killer. However, Carlos says that he doesn't remember the man's face clearly. Michaela and Jared know that he is lying, because he said a different thing at the crime scene. But since the police have nothing to hold the suspects in custody, they are let free. Later that day, Jared brings Michaela home for dinner with Lourdes. Michaela is surprised that it isn't awkward and she is actually having fun with them like the old times. While talking about their past, Lourdes comments that Evie used to want revenge, not justice. This reminds Michaela that Carlos must be doing the same. He wants to punish the culprit himself, which is why he didn't identify the killer and said he never saw a gun. She rushes to his home and inquires if it is true. Carlos denies the claims, but she makes him understand that he still has an entire life ahead of him, and he shouldn't do something he regrets. The following morning, the kid brings the gun to the police station. and is ready to identify the man. But by now, the police have no clue where the killer is. Michaela and Jared go to the neighborhood where he was found earlier. Suddenly, Michaela hears the heartbeat again, which shows her the way to get to the man. Jared drives according to her instructions and finds the killer about to rob an old man. They arrest him just in time before he does any harm. Jared still cannot believe that Michaela's predictions are true. A while later, Michaela goes to Carlos to inform him that they have found the culprit. She notices Evie's picture on the wall and is informed that her heart was donated to Carlos when he was a kid. By a twist of fate, the accident that killed Evie also saved Carlos' life, which is why Michaela could hear the heartbeat. Meanwhile, Ben makes friends with a colleague and gets his way into the SP database. He also drops coffee on the guy to distract him and download the file on his hard drive. The plan is successful and he texts Sanvi about it. What he doesn't know is that Vance has access to all his text messages and knows about the hard drive. After work, Ben is on his way out when he gets a text message asking him to come to the hallways. In doing so, he finds Vance waiting for him. He takes the hard drive after threatening Ben that he will expose him for snooping around. Although the two are working for the same purpose, they do not trust each other. On reaching home, Ben goes to Cal and promises to find Marco before he's sick again. He also tells the kid about Vance, but according to Cal, Vance is on their side and is a good man. Ben figures out that his son's callings are different and more to the point than the other people's. His suspicion is confirmed when they see a picture Cal drew yesterday. It is a picture of Carlos with a heartbeat. After the kid goes to sleep, Michaela and Ben talk for a long time. Cal wants to go to school, but Ben thinks it is not a good idea since they are being watched. Michaela argues that Cal has the right to have normalcy in his life after what happened. Somewhere else, the project leader of SP tells the researchers to do everything they can to get results, even if it means hurting the passengers. The main aim of the experiment is to prove that the brains of the passengers are connected. In the morning, Cal goes to school for the first time after years. All his friends have jumped several grades, but they welcome him wholeheartedly. At work, Michaela is told about a guy from 828 who is trying to jump off a building. She goes to the site to convince him otherwise. It turns out the guy is trying to end his life because he doesn't understand the callings. No matter how hard Michaela tries, he jumps off and dies. Then, at Ben's workplace, Vance approaches him and agrees to help. He knows that if he tells his department about the experiments, the people organizing it will find out. Hence, he has to work on it in secrecy. Ben is given the hard drive and asked to find out what the data on it means. On analyzing it, he figures out the passengers are being electrocuted to see if they channel each other's pain. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.